When is it hardest for you to not speak, but to listen? Now, last week we had a great conversation with David and Jason Benham, and Jason shared a story about being on an airplane, and he actually did neither of those. He didn't listen or talk, he just moved. And it was a pretty compelling story. But it made me think about a time that I found myself wanting to yak at people instead of listening and trying to understand them. And the point was driven home further when I was talking to a friend recently who went to, let's call it, a rather non-traditional wedding. He was fairly uncomfortable there, but he stayed and he talked to people and he tried to, engage with folks the best he could, despite some pretty obvious differences. Later he was reflecting and he wondered, was I very good at being salt and light, as Jesus talked about in Matthew chapter 5? Did I show Jesus to these people? And it was a convicting conversation with my friend because I thought, I'm really fast at yakking at people, but not very quick to listen. And that brings to mind Stephen Covey, who said, begin with the end in mind and seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I've had plenty of situations in which I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to make sure I was heard. Most notably, what came to mind was a story from my college days. I was doing some graduate work, and one of the students in my classes was very clearly a Buddhist, and I was very clearly a believer in Jesus. And we had some really long, engaging, interesting conversations. And the good news was I wasn't trying to convert him. He wasn't trying to convert me. We were actually holding up truth, saying, what do you know about truth? And what do you think about this? And we were processing the events of the world, as college students do, through a lens of experience and truth as we understood it. Now, I would love to tell you that Abe became a Christian, but that wasn't my goal. I've learned to let the Holy Spirit do the convicting. Instead, I tried to do the understanding that he needed to represent Christ, well, like Christ talked about, being salt and light. And I hope my friend knows that when he went to that wedding, it wasn't a missed opportunity. It wasn't his job to bring anybody to any great revelation of who Jesus is. His job was to be the hands and feet, the skin of Jesus to the people around him, whether or not they wanted him to be that, right? So when we let go of the outcome of trying to be a bounty hunter for Jesus, maybe we're actually being more effective as witnesses for him. And I hope that you'll click the link to see the whole episode and leave a comment as well.